Hello again, everybody. Happy Tuesday night, I guess it is, the best chance I got this week to provide this content to you guys on the difference between home mortgages of yesterday and pertaining to 2006 era, before the recession, to today, post recession. So, before I get to that, if you guys have any ideas that you would want for me to talk about, any topics that you just want to know or have questions about, please reach out to me, private message me, email me, text me, give me a call. It doesn't matter to me. I'd love to hear from you guys out there on stuff you'd like for me to talk about. And now that I've got that covered, I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about a lot of buyers out there. They get frustrated with all the paperwork out there. I mean, just about every buyer I deal with, it's like I have to explain to them, hey, this is just the way lending is today. It's a good thing. Just keep providing the paperwork and complying to the request, because what they're doing is compared. Let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back in time. Lenders didn't do as much due diligence. A lot of buyers out there were getting qualified for mortgages that they didn't qualify for. I mean, that even happens today as far as buyers being qualified more from what they can afford. But back then, things weren't, I mean, they just kind of breezed these loans through, for lack of better terms, and they weren't double checking and triple checking in the underwriting stage, and there weren't near the regulations and guidelines then as there are today to prevent that from happening. So the market that we're in today is so much healthier and has so much more of a positive outlook because of the consequences and the lessons that were learned during the recession. So, with that said, banks banks aren't in the real estate business. Okay, they don't want to be in the real estate business. They don't want to have to be foreclosing, selling for millions of foreclosures like they did back during the recession. They don't want to have to be negotiating millions of short sales that like they had to do back during the recession. So they want those steady paying customers that they're going to be able to rely on for several years to come. So they're double checking, they're triple checking everything today. You got you got the new guidelines and regulations that have been put in place to prevent the errors that happened back then. Okay, so I know it's frustrating for you buyers out there of what I know it can be. I mean, I've been through it myself. Trust me. I'm not a real estate agent that hasn't been there and lived that from the home buying side, more than on one occasion. So, yes, it can be frustrating, everything that they ask for. Just comply, okay? They're just making sure everything's legit, and so on. So, of course, back then, interest rates were higher as well. I'm gonna jump into the interest rate side of it. So there was one good thing that came out of the recession, okay, that I can tell you. Somebody might you might think of more. I don't know, but just one thing I've got on my top of my mind is interest rates were higher back then. One product of the lower interest rates that were historically, for that matter, historically low interest rates that we're seeing today are a product of us having that recession. Okay, so there was a good thing that came out of it. So it, like back in 2000s, the average interest rate was a little over 6%. Um, Back in the 90s, interest rates were a little over 8%. And now for a long time, been well below 4. We're creeped back up to almost right at 4 on a national average. And the predictions are to still to finish out 2018 around 4.5%, maybe even as high as 5 is what some people are saying. But I mean, that's still cheap money, still cheap money. And just put this in perspective, back in 1989, the interest rate was over 10%. So, with that said, putting things in perspective here, comply with your lender. Interest rates are still low. Okay, the regulations in place, everything that they're putting in place and making you sign and provide, is to make sure they're just double and triple checking everything. And if they ask for it, just provide it to them, because as long as it seems, reasonable, provide that to them, just for the fact of being able to get your home bought and moving on with your life. So anyway, that's pretty much what I had for you here tonight. I'm coming to you from a home office. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'd love to see likes and shares out there on my page. And until next time, I'll be working on another topic to talk to you guys for here in the weeks to come. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I hope you all take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.